Hi everybody, Bill here. This is not Photoshop, this is the real deal. This is the concrete we have to tear up yet, and the garage will be done and gone. So stick around, you're not going to want to miss this one.
Welcome to Bill Burkhart's Adventures in Iowa.
All right, Danny's back on site, and I want to show you something. This used to be concrete down for our pet goats, and I just leveled it out. I didn't put any rebar in it. And the reason I wanted to show you was, if anybody ever suggests you don't use rebar in your concrete, this is a perfect example of why you do. Look at how easily it cracks, just like graham crackers. It's not worth a darn. It's okay for the goats running on it, but you don't want this to be your driveway. You're going to have a mess. So now let's go over and take a look at the concrete that I put re-rod in. You're going to see just how incredibly strong it makes it. All right, look at this slab. Now watch it flex. This is re-rod, 24 inches on center, 4,000 pound concrete mix. Look at how that floor can flex and not break. Now here in Iowa, in most places, you're not going to have the earth shift that much where that concrete's going to move like that. That is amazing. I've really never taken the time to test it and see what it would do. But this is a perfect example of how strong that doggone rebar is. This is 1/2 inch rebar. Again, I told you the concrete mix is 4,000 pounds. This is really increases the strength of that, doesn't it? On the new floor, since it's going to be 34 by almost 70, we're going to put the rebar 18 inches on center, between 18 and 20. 24 may work, 18's better. I haven't decided yet, so you're going to want to stay tuned. You know, I always said I learn a lot watching experienced end loader folks work, and I'm watching how Danny's flipping this over, trying to break it on top of other concrete, and how he can turn that into rubble so we can bury it. You know, at first I thought he was going to bring his hammer up, but he just came with the backhoe, and now I understand why. If we would have just hammered it, we would have had all this rubble on the ground in a mess, and then just, I guess, bulldozing it over or whatever. But this is really good. I mean, look at this guy work and tear this up. And then I noticed his method is bust it up, get it into some smaller chunks, create a pile, and then he'll push the pile off to where we want it to come to rest. Now, after we get that pile in there, we're going to push it down, spread it out, and then we're going to cover it with something. I lucked out and found a farmer that needed to get rid of a lot of clay fill, and that'll be just fine for this because I'm never going to build on top of this. So you'll see the rubble here in a little bit. Now, another thing I'm impressed is how much rubble and concrete debris the unloader can push. And again, I'm just watching him, how he's pushing it back there. I kind of gave him some brief instructions on how far back I wanted to fill. And at first I thought, is he going to leave it like that? But watch, there's the plan, and I'll get into that here in a little bit. I wish I was 30 years younger and could afford one of those and go out on the side and pay for it. That'd be fun to have. Well, here for CD and another viewer, here comes another time capsule, guys. See this ball to the left? I remember putting that in. I think that's 1 yard of concrete. That was the old TV tower base.
TV tower base.
Just a solid chunk of concrete that you put the base into, and it held a 40-foot metal tower. Now, it was there until it was struck by lightning. I said, that's it, I'm out. So it came down, but that was funny to see that pop back up again. That's from that early 1991 period. Now, watching Danny's technique here again, I'm just kind of watching how he's tearing that up, bending it to break. Boy, you talk about a place to get hurt. You get in there with that re-rod, that would really cut you bad. And look at how strong that is. You know, this isn't some test in a lab where it shows the shear break or the tensile strength. This is just good old world demonstration of, boy, this stuff can really hold. That floor could have cracked up like graham crackers and been held in place. It's amazing. I've also kind of noticed and been under the impression you really get a lot of strength from your bucket curl. I noticed he had his bucket under there, then he curled that up and broke through the concrete. All right, as we watch Danny grade a lot of this concrete back to where we're going to bury it, let's get a few shout-outs in. Rick Rhodes checked in from Fort Worth. That's just a great name. I haven't visited with Rick in quite a while. I swear that's a cowboy name, isn't it? Rick, I know you're a cowboy, right? In Fort Worth. William checked in from Wisconsin. He agreed he'd use his Harbor Freight once in a while. And then Sean and CD checked in. They said, how in the hell can a time capsule be from 91? How old is that? Well, then did the math and said, holy cow, we're getting old, just like me. That's unbelievable, right? Let's see. William suggested be nice if we had a crusher, and big contractors do that. They will crush that, take the re-rod out, recycle it, and keep the crushed concrete for fill. And then Bill checked in from Bearberry, Alberta. How cool is that? Look it up where that is. That's pretty neat. He's looking for a box blade. So let me know what you choose, Bill, and how that works out. And then one last shout out. I want to say hi to Philip. He checked in from the United Kingdom in Great Britain, and he has a 2032R and said he loves it. So thanks a lot, fellas, for checking in. It's always fun to share with everybody where these silly videos are going out to and ending up. All right, here's some other examples of him taking up that slab concrete and just the strength of that. I've cut a lot of this out. This video started out much longer, but I just wanted to show you some demonstrations of how strong that concrete can be. You know, speaking of time capsules, I can remember when concrete was $50 a yard. Oh gosh, that's back 40 years ago? What do you guys remember? Now it's almost $200. I did go through and take a sawzall and a grinder and took that rebar that's sticking up and wiry, because that's just an accident waiting to happen, isn't it? So I cut that out, threw that in a dump trailer, and it's going to go to the recycle center. Now look at how easy the blacktop comes in. Blacktop's fascinating, isn't it? All its strength comes from really the underneath, how well the soil is prepped and compacted, and it's really counts on that to perform as you expect. Now we're getting to a real nasty place. This is the area in 1991 when the concrete trucks were up pouring my foundation. I wanted to use everything that was in there, all 40 yards or whatever, so I had them clean out in this pit area, figuring I would screed it out and have a nice parking place out of it. And I always thought, boy, I pity the guy that has to dig this up someday. Well, here it is. I'm the guy digging it up. And I told Danny there, I don't know how thick this is. It could be 4 inches thick. It could be 14 inches thick. But I just dumped it in an unlevel surface and screeded it off and had a hard surface parking area for a while. And now we got to deal with it. You're going to have a pretty good shot here in a little bit. I think it's an honest 10 inches. I don't want to exaggerate, but I know it's every bit of 10 inches. It's not the stuff nearest your camera there. That was another pour. But you're going to see the thickened part here in a little bit. And that's where we got the thumbnail starter, him trying to crush those big pieces of concrete. I mean, he looked like stone you bring out of a quarry, didn't he? There's a nice cross shot. Look at that. That's an honest 10 inches. Maybe more, but honest. And then over to the left, that's a small retaining wall there in the picture. I've got to put that back in the rear left corner to help stabilize some ground back there so we can pour concrete over that area. Again, I kept this in here because it's so impressive on just how well that backhoe can manipulate these large concrete chunks around. And yeah, it looks like I put rebar in that too. Boy, I rebar everything. Now look at this. A couple things here. I'm impressed how he can pinch that concrete up there with his dipper stick. Pinch it and drop it. That didn't work. You can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to break it over the back of that other one. You know, he does this is just experience at work here. I don't know if I could do that. I've got that little thumb on mine that helps me grab things. But this is pretty impressive that he doesn't have that, and he can pinch that in there. Look, I was really impressed. Look at how higher. Man, look at this. Wow, boy, he got that up so high. I thought sure that would break. But boy, I'm surprised he didn't give up. But again, I liked learning how people do this. And they just kept trying to break it into chunks. Let's see what he tries next. Like I said before, this looks like something you get out of a quarry. That's thick as highway pours, isn't it? I'm glad it came out with the backhoe. I didn't know if I was going to have to get a large jackhammer in there on an excavator. There, he's finally getting some braking there to happen. I left all this in because I found this to be pretty interesting to watch. Well, here it goes. It gave up, and that's fine with me. It's going to be great fill for back here. You can notice about right in there, that's going to be the end of the building. It looks like he's building kind of a berm, doesn't it? Because I thought, okay, this is good. To the right of this berm, I'm going to put my frost wall in, so the concrete contractor won't have any problem digging down to get that. He's not going to run into my rubble pile, and he's going to be on virgin ground and not backfill. Because you're going to see, I believe in the next video, how we topped all this concrete and buried it and topped it off with clay. And of course, we're not going to build on that. So our next steps are going to be get some gravel in, level all this up. I've got to move the water hydrant in the scene now out in the middle. It's got a cone on it back there. Like I said, I've got to get that rebar off. We're going to cover all this up with clay. I lucked out and found a farmer that wanted to get rid of some, so all I had to do is pay for the trucking. There's my trench. You can look over to the left, see that green weight on top of that box. That's where all my utilities and cables and alarms and everything come into the building. All those cables are pulled back to that box, and then I'll reuse those and run them through another cable, conduit I should say, into the building. And this patch here, this trough, was never meant to be a real long, in place very long. That's why it's so thin. I just wanted to cover up that conduit so I could get over that and not damage it. Now the next thing for me to do is, you can see the water hydrant there with the cone on it. I've got to move that over to the left. And I've got to make the decision, am I either going to keep the water in the new building or put it outside of the building? I'm leaning towards putting it on the inside of the building. What's your thoughts? So we're going to bust up a little blacktop here, and that comes up easy. I could have taken that up with my hoe, but as long as he was there, I said, yeah, go ahead and tear it up so I can get the grade figured out and go from there. And then I cut that conduit so that it doesn't get in our way. And I'll attach back onto that at the new building and provide a path for the data and everything I was telling you about getting it to the new building. That blacktop comes up so darn easy. You know, when you get going like this, you got to watch yourself for cost overruns, because it's really tempting to say, tear that up about another 30 feet back this way and I'll put in some new, because it's starting to crack and alligator, and it's probably 25 to 30 years old now. The average life of asphalt, depending on the exposure, is 20 years. But I said, that's enough. You know, that's all about keeping your construction projects under control and on budget. I did that for a long time. My budgets were $30 million, and we were able to keep projects on schedule and at or below budget for decades. I'm very happy with that. All right, so the way he's done in the past, he'll make a pile of it, and then he'll doze it back here and bury it. Again, that is pretty impressive how that tractor can push that weight back here to our pile. Let me know your thoughts on keeping some of these longer videos. Do you like them longer when it's in this type of deconstruction work? Again, the full video is quite long and I have to chop it down somewhere. And I'm hoping you're thinking these are about right. Okay, now what he's doing is, instead of making a berm, he's going to level all this cracked concrete and asphalt off more level. And as I said before, then we're going to come in and cover all this up with dirt, clay. I mean, it's dirt. It's not good dirt, but I can put some seed on that, not grass seed, but some other stuff I use down at the ponds, and it'll grow real good in here after I get all this buried. That extendable boom is so nice on this backhoe. How nice that worked for you. Well, Danny's off. He's going to be coming back here now for our next project. As we move forward, I hope we get the building up here started soon. Here's a big overview view of it. Still got a little work to do, but it's quite different looking, isn't it? Hey, thanks so much for coming along in this journey with me. I sure appreciate it. Take care of each other and be kind, and I'll talk to you real soon. So long, everybody.